Hello again. It's Paul with New Jersey Recovery and Wellness. All month long, we're going to be talking about how to support a person in your life who you know and love with a substance use disorder or an early recovery to commemorate National Recovery Month. Thank you so much for tuning in to check out day 11 of our 30-part series. Come check it out. Explore your reactivity. If you have a person in your life with a substance use disorder or an early recovery, you may be familiar with the sensation of being on an emotional roller coaster. It can be difficult watching someone that you love struggle, and even more difficult regulating your own emotions when interacting with a person whose emotional regulation skills may be a little bit subpar. If you're experiencing this struggle, you're not alone. Having intense reactions to our own emotions can be common when we've been in a relationship with a person who has a substance use disorder. It's important, however, that we become aware of our own interactions. How do you support a person in your life who has a substance use disorder? Explore your own reactivity. To start with, let's understand what reactivity actually is. So reactivity is emotional reflex to another person or another stimulus that's based on an impulse. As in, we don't have or notice the opportunity to just experience what's going on or what's being said, and instead we jump right into responding without thinking about it. Reactivity tends to serve a defensive purpose, however, can be quite damaging and antithetical to supporting the people that we love. This is one of the reasons it's commonly suggested that loved ones of a person who's seeking treatment for a substance use disorder also seek treatment for themselves as part of the recovery process. Being as you love and care for this person and likely have been impacted by the process of addiction, you can use your own recovery too. When exploring reactivity, I find it useful to check out the dynamics of the Cartman drama triangle. Stephen Cartman is credited with the theory of describing conflicting and intense interactions as triangles. And his theory of interactions was used in the development of what's referred to as transactional analysis. If you want to get more into the nitty-gritty of these particular topics, you can always search for these particular items. That's Cartman's drama triangle and transactional analysis. For those of you who are not in the psychological field, you don't need to worry about researching that. We're going to talk about the basics right now. Okay, so there are 3 roles in the drama triangle, reflective of 3 corners that are in a triangle. There's the victim, the rescuer, and the persecutor. The victim takes on the role of being oppressed, feeling hopeless, helpless, powerless, and ashamed. The rescuer is usually the one that takes on the role of the fixer and is sometimes referred to as an enabler. They are primarily seeking to help, solve, save others, sometimes fix a situation that they might have caused themselves. The rescuer tends to avoid facing their own part in the conflict by focusing on another person's needs. And finally, the persecutor takes on the role of the judge and jury. They can be blaming, controlling, critical, and rigid. Now, think of heated interactions that you may have had with loved ones in general. These rules can sound pretty familiar and they can kind of be natural. Now, when we're in a pattern of conflicted relationships with a person who has a substance use disorder, as well as many other mental health conditions, we can see that each person in the interaction shifts or pivots between positions in a particular pattern. If you notice that sometimes you shift from a persecutor to a rescuer, or from a rescuer to a victim, or from a victim to a persecutor in your interactions, congratulations, you've just secured your next ride on this particular roller coaster. Let's take a look and understand what's going on here. When we're exploring and understanding our own reactivity, we're trying to become aware of our emotional triggers that propel us from one role to the next. And then we figure out what's going on with our emotional triggers, placing efforts to cope, not to react to the emotional trigger, and gently step off the roller coaster. As an example, we're going to make up a scenario. Maybe it'll sound familiar, maybe it won't. Let's say that you've come to discover that your loved one has been continuing to use their substance of choice and has been trying to hide it. You may find yourself falling right into a victim role or a persecutor role. Let's say you've fallen into the victim role. You may feel hopeless, taken advantage of, that there's no way that your loved one can get help. You may overexpress your sadness and exacerbation, attempting to provoke a response from your loved one. This is often relying on them to jump into the rescuer role, trying to fix the situation, to take care of your emotions. However, when your emotions aren't resolved and there's no effort to fix the problem of their continued use and attempting to hide it, you're probably going to find yourself pivoting into the persecutor role, blasting out your anger, blaming the person, saying a lot of really, really angry and hurtful things. In response to this, your loved one is likely going to then shift into a victim role, stating that they do nothing right, they always mess things up, and that they're a lost cause. I might as well use. Likewise, in the scenario where you initially take on the persecutor role, this is when you're immediately reacting in anger, yelling at the deception, telling your loved one exactly all of these angry and hurtful things that are just flying into your brain and out of your mouth. And your loved one may feel defensive, despondent, and worthless. Once you see the impact of your rage, you likely are going to experience guilt. And in response to that guilt, you're going to pivot into the rescuer role, trying to fix the situation that happened, trying to fix your loved one's emotional state. Reacting to their own emotional wounds, your loved one may lash out in anger, jumping into the persecutor role, or just simply act out by using again. Whatever way it happens, if we're staying on this roller coaster, we're not helping out our loved ones. We're inadvertently supporting the emotional states that trigger relapse. We become part of the relapse cycle. By understanding our own triggers for reactivity and by taking steps to not react, to step off of the roller coaster, we're helping to take away yet another reason that our loved ones may continue their own problematic substance using behavior. If you're having a hard time understanding this process or having a hard time stepping off the roller coaster yourself, definitely seek out your own support. At New Jersey Recovery and Wellness, we frequently work with families to help shift communication to support both the person with the substance use disorder as well as family members in their respective recoveries. How do you support a loved one with a substance use disorder? Explore your own reactivity. Thank you so much for checking out day 11 of our 30-part series commemorating National Recovery Month. If you liked what you saw, please do click that like and subscribe and ring that bell so you can get notifications for other videos coming up in this series, as well as other videos that come up on this channel in general. And of course, share this information with anyone that you believe can benefit from it. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. We'll catch you next time.